Hey guys, it's Aaron here, and in today's video, Eric's going to share with us why it's never too late to work out and how working out may just be the missing piece in the puzzle to complete an amazing life. Let's go. Hey, what's up guys? Aaron Darko here, founder of Alpha Trading, and today I'm with my very good friend, Mr. Eric Arnow. And Eric is an amazing individual. I met him 3 years ago here in Chiang Mai, right? And I met him in the gym. Okay, now, just to give you a little background, Eric recently turned 70 years young. Now, for you guys watching, you're 20 years old, 25, 30 years old, 35 years old. This interview I'm about to do right now with Mr. Eric is going to be absolutely amazing. So sit tight, get your favorite beverage, and just relax for the next 30, 40, 45 minutes, and we're going to blow your head off. Well, Eric's going to blow your head off. All right, so Eric, give us a little bit of background about who you are and why you're awesome.
Well, I think of myself as being rather modest, but I'll accept your praise. I was born on the East Coast of the U.S., went to university, graduated in 1970, and while I was there, I met a woman who had been to the first Zen monastery in the United States, and I was always interested in Zen. The first kind of crazy story is I was just watching this television show about beatniks, which were the 1950s, cultural dissidents, heroes, whatever you want to call them. And this one guy has got he's smoking a funny looking cigarette, which obviously was marijuana, which was itself iconoclastic at the time. And he's talking about Zen, and I'm thinking, Zen? What's Zen? And then a few years later, I was in a shop and I saw a little book called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. It's one of the first small paperback books that talked about it. And I thought, there's that word, which is incredible because 9 years old, 5 years later, I remember this book. So there had to have been some kind of affinity there. I read the book and I just thought, this stuff is really amazing. These people are so free. Their minds are open and free. I want to be like that. So when I went to the university and I met this woman, she said, hey, there's a Zen monastery, you got to go there. A week after I graduated, I went to California, and I traveled around a little bit, and then went to stay at a Zen temple. It was a Zen community, which also has a temple and a monastery, you could say. So I trained there for 13 years, 7 as a monk. And then at a certain point I thought, I'm getting a little bit ingrown here, and I need to engage the world more. So I got a job, I started a business, my own business, worked in the insurance business for another roughly 18 years. And then around the year 2000, the wanderlust started coming back to me. And I felt, again, constrained in my situation. And, at the time, everybody was talking about the fact that corporations were taking jobs overseas. They were outsourcing their expenses. And I was thinking, well, wait a second. I'm paying 30+% of my income on taxes, 30+% on business expenses. Why don't I just move to where those guys are, and I'll outsource my expenses, cut my expenses by 70%, wait for the airplane to pass.
We're in Chiang Mai, guys. The airplanes are always flying over us.
You'll have to enter that.
But yeah.
So in 2004, I came to Chiang Mai, and I got back into meditation practice. I was meditating, I was traveling around, and spent a lot of time in Thailand, Myanmar, visited Laos, And then in 2007, a friend of mine said, "Hey, you got to go to China." And Aaron, most people don't know this, but China was where Zen actually started. People think it came from Japan, but it actually came from China. And all the stories that I read in that first book, Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, and many other stories since, they were all taking place in China. I thought, I gotta go to China. So I went to China, and within the first week I had met this monk, and we got along. The first time we met, we talked for 8 hours straight. I don't know about you, but have you ever met somebody for the first time and talked with them for 8 hours?
I can't think of anyone in my life that I've talked with for 8 hours straight.
And this is a first meeting. So the next day, he and his friend, who was translating, said, "Hey, why don't you travel with us to this famous mountain?" And I go to this famous mountain, and there's a statue of this Zen master from China who lived to be 120 years old, born in 1840, lived till 1959, and I just thought, oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting this super famous Zen master. So this monk, Mao Guangfa, and I got along so well that he and his friend invited me back to their hometown, which is called Xiamen. It's a city with some history. It's kind of a gateway to the west. It's a little bit north of Hong Kong, and I spent quite a lot of time with them. And I just said, this is the life for me. So I spent quite a lot of time in China for the next 7 years or so, and visited many of these famous places that I had read about, these places that were talked about 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago. I read stories and went to the actual room where the story took place. And so I've led a charmed life, but of course it wasn't something that just dropped into my lap. I chose it. And many people that I talk with, back in the U.S., they say, "Eric, why didn't you come back?" And I think, come back? I'm living an incredible life. And it's not something that just happened to me. I chose this. Now, in 2014, I injured my knee. I was sitting cross-legged. I would sit in temples and...
Oh, so I'll stop you there. So let's just recap what you just said. So you went to China in 2004, right?
2007.
2007, and you stayed there for 7 years.
I would come back and forth between China and Thailand.
Okay, so basically 7 years, on and off, right?
Right.
So is that what formed your mindset, like the Zen way of life?
No, my Zen way of life...
That was already before you?
No, that was before.
Okay.
No, my Zen mindset, I was born with my Zen mindset, because I've always been a very curious person, a questioning person, and a challenging, that is a challenging person. I don't just take what people tell me. I test it, and I decide, is this true or is it not? And even when I was in the university, I was studying German literature, and these people, they were talking about these famous German philosophers, Goethe, Nietzsche, Leibniz, Wittgenstein. These famous philosophers were saying, don't just accept things as they are. And they looked at society and culture, and this is back in the 19th century, they were questioning what was going on then. And nowadays, people are questioning a lot what's going on. So there was a tradition of this, and that appealed to me a lot. So maybe that gives you a background.
Yeah, because I'm just asking because, guys, I met Eric in the gym, right? And after a few weeks, eventually I started training him because he wanted me to coach him, right? So I started training you in the gym, and I was just surprised at how he was attacking his workouts, like with such intensity, and especially for someone at your age, we're working out with someone who was half your age, basically, one of our friends, and he didn't have the same intensity that you had doing the same exercises. So that's what struck me about you instantly, was the way you thought about what you were doing, and it was kind of like you were meditating with the weights.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started asking you about how you got that mindset, and you started talking about Zen and your experiences in China, and
Right.
so that's why I was asking you about that, because I think it's really important for people to understand just how much of a mindset shift you have to get the results in the gym, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't just be on your phone and go on a treadmill or lift some dumbbells and expect to get results. Like, it's a mindset that you have to be in to get the results, and it's like anything in life, right? So can you talk a bit more about that and
Right.
how you attack everything?
Right. When I trained intensively in my Zen practice,
Yeah.
I would go to these retreats where we would sit for 8 hours a day, cross-legged,
Damn.
and
That's intense.
by the third day, not everybody, but a lot of people are feeling a fair amount of pain, and but I'm interested in truth. I'm interested in freedom, and I just felt that's the price.
Yep.
You don't kill yourself, that doesn't work, but there is a price to pay. So I've always played that edge of pushing as far as you can without actually hurting yourself. When you're working out, you're feeling a little pain, but it's making you stronger. And this famous German philosopher Nietzsche said, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger."
Mm-hmm.
That always stayed with me. So that was another one of the kind of formative influences. So in my Zen practice, it was the same thing. I just thought, these guys, they were dedicated to truth and freedom. That's what motivated them. And also there was one other aspect to it, and that is they wanted to free themselves, but they wanted to free other people too. And you can't help anybody until you can help yourself.
Absolutely.
So you have to help yourself first, and then you're in a position, you've covered the territory, you know how to help other people. So that was a lot of the kind of inner drive, you could say, that caused me to do what I've done in my Zen practice, and it's translated into other aspects of my life, because you don't separate.
We gotta wait for the plane again. So yeah, you were saying you don't separate things in your life. That's what a lot of people don't understand. They think that working out is separate from their business life and their social life. It's actually not. It's all interconnected. So
Right.
could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's a really excellent point. One of the biggest problems that people face, both as individuals and as societies and cultures, is that they compartmentalize their thinking. This is this thing, this is that thing, and
Yeah.
I'll go out, get drunk and stuff,
Yeah.
but then I'll go to the gym.
Yeah.
Well, no, it doesn't work that way. I'll eat pizzas all day, and I'll mess my life up in various ways, but I'll compensate for it by going to the gym.
Right.
That's an example. Or if you're in business, you say, I'll make as much money as I can screwing people, and then I'll give to charity. No, it doesn't work that way. You ultimately, if our goal is ultimately to feel really fulfilled within ourselves, we have to integrate everything. So your inner life, your spiritual life, and your physical body, they're all connected. And the reason I got into working out, Aaron, was because I realized that in my life I had done yoga, and I had taken pretty good care of myself, but I realized this one aspect of strength, of body strength, I hadn't paid so much attention to.
When did you realize that?
After I had my third knee injury,
which was when?
That was in 2014.
Oh, so only 4 years ago, at the time of this recording.
Yeah, that was. I started going to the gym right after that.
Oh, so wait, so before that you weren't going to the gym much?
No, I never went to I never stepped into a gym.
So your
I
whole
just thought-
life, so all the way up until 66 years old?
67.
67.
Right.
You never went to the gym at all?
That's right. Never. Right.
Wow. Not even once?
Not even once. No. I lifted weights a couple of times. I just thought, oh, this is stupid. You know, what am I doing this for? You know, I don't want to be Jack LaLanne or whoever that guy. You know,
Yeah.
Muscle men. You know, I don't care about that. In fact, I thought it was kind of demeaning actually, because I always emphasized the intellectual aspect of myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that even that was, I was not in balance in that way, because I was paying attention to the intellectual side, but I wasn't paying attention to the physical side.
So what was the aha moment that you had at 67 that made you think, you know what, I got to start working out?
I had injured my knee in 2014. Actually, I gotta correct my dates here. I injured my knee in 2014. Got an operation, and the operation was pretty successful. And I was riding my bicycle, and one day, some guy on a motorbike hit me right on the same knee that I had already had 2 operations on.
Damn.
And I didn't know, what was going to happen then, because if you can't walk, you're basically screwed, So after 3 weeks on crutches, I was able to walk around, but I realized, my knee is not going to survive. I'm not going to make it unless I really work on my knee. And by the way, as a guy who's 70 years old, and I look at people who are 70 years old, they're all losing it. They're all flabby. They don't look good. They have a what can I say, a defeatist attitude. And so that, that was another aspect. In fact, I was in this kind of group of these guys that are about my age, and we'd sit around and talk every couple of weeks. And at one point, I told them I had gotten into e-commerce. I was starting to sell on Amazon, and it's not easy for me. I'm not a natural businessman, and this is a whole new technology and a lot of stuff to learn, and it's very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in one of these meetings, I said to these guys, I'm feeling pretty good. I think things are going well. I'm learning a lot. It's not easy, but I'm learning and I'm growing and so on. And this one guy who was kind of the leader of the group, just blew up and said, "You're so full of shit." And the guy is obviously jealous because his life is a mess and my life is good.
Right.
And so I realized I gotta move into situations where I'm with people that are encouraging me. I got to be in situations where I'm getting stronger physically, stronger mentally. The spiritual side I've taken pretty good care of. But these other aspects of my life, in terms of that compartmentalization and integration, I realized I needed to do that.
So it seems like you wanted to get in shape because of your knee, right? That was the catalyst.
That was the catalyst, right?
Made you realize that you need to build strength.
Right. That was the catalyst. But I realized that it was a symptom of the bigger problem, and the bigger problem was that this gets into some really deep stuff. It was a whole issue of what is masculinity, and in culture nowadays, there's a lot of understandably there's concern about guys, exploiting women or abusing women, but on the other hand, there's a lot of diminishment of being a guy. It's like, I don't know how to. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
It's like if you're not it's like, oh, you need to be sensitive. I just thought, what? Wait a minute. That's not what a guy is about.
That's not what an alpha's about.
That's not what alpha is about, right? It's about being strong, and there's the whole idea of the guy being the protector, And I realized that whole aspect has been kind of disparaged in our culture. In the effort to protect women from abuse, it's So I realized what I need to do is I need to get stronger, and I need to be able to express myself as a man with better muscles and look like a guy. Because I was looking at my arms and I thought, look at these arms. That's ridiculous. You can't even do one stinking pull-up.
Yeah, right.
Where's that at?
Yeah.
And so what I could do is I could just stay home, feel bad, watch TV, and get fat.
Where every other 70-year-old guy does.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And I thought, no, that's not the Zen way. The Zen way is you keep going. You find ways forward. It's like there's an idea. One of the things about Zen is it's associated with Taoism, which is a very ancient philosophy coming out of China. And the idea in Taoism is like it's water. If you've got boulders, there's a creek. There's boulders. There's branches. It's blocked, but the water is always pushing, finding a way through.
Yep.
No matter what the obstacle, you look for the tiniest crack, find the way through. And so that's I guess you could say that's my basic philosophy in life.
So the Zen way of life has permeated every single area of your life, right?
Absolutely.
You've applied that
Right.
philosophy.
Mhm.
So in a sentence, for someone watching who's not aware of Zen, can you sum it up in one sentence, what it is? It's kind of hard, right?
Yeah, not really. It reminds me of a very famous story, actually, which is one of my favorite Zen stories. So there's this guy who was a provincial governor. He's like a governor of a state in the United States, okay, but this is in China about 1,000 years ago. And there was this Zen master who was meditating in a tree, which people thought, that seems really kind of crazy, because it's, you could fall out of the tree. So the governor says, what are you doing up there? You're sitting like a bird on a tree. It's dangerous up there. And the Zen master says, no, it's dangerous where you are, because you're in a position of power and you could cause a lot of trouble. So the governor kind of thinks, wow, maybe so. What is the fundamental idea of Zen? And the Zen master said, do good, don't do evil, purify your mind. And the governor says, well, any 8-year-old knows that. And the Zen master said, well, any 8-year-old knows it, but what 80-year-old can actually do it? So our attempt at having real integrity and being the best we can be doesn't stop. We find, whatever our situation in life is, we find a way forward. Even if we're facing death, even if we're deathly ill, we face, if that's it, we face death with courage. If the enemy's at the gate, we face the enemy with courage. We have to have courage. So that you could say I would say that's a major component. Oh, and there's one other component. It's the idea of wisdom. We have to know the difference between what's true and what's not, and what's right and what's wrong. And the only way we can do that is by going inside, looking deep. We need to get all the information we can, and then we have to analyze and filter it and let it sink in, and then from the inside out we realize what is really true, what really matters.
And also, one thing you said before, because we had an interview before this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you said, no one's going to save you.
Right.
But the way you said it was so matter of fact. You were like, no one is going to save you.
That's right. No one is going to save you.
So could you just elaborate on that as well?
Sure. Well, in Western terms or Christian terms, they say, God helps those who help themselves. So it's one thing, I don't want to compartmentalize Zen as being better than Western, because this truth is universal.
Yes.
Okay. It's precious, and you get it wherever you can find it. In terms of if we have to make the effort ourselves. However, when we do make the effort, the angels or the guides or somehow the mysterious positive forces in the universe will come to our aid, or not. But it doesn't matter. That's their responsibility. Our responsibility is to do our best in every situation. So when I'm doing push-ups, for example, one of my favorite exercises is how many push-ups can I do in 33 minutes. I do a certain amount, and then I rest a bit, and then I do more, and I rest, I do more, and rest until until the 3 minutes is up. But I don't stop unless my arms stop. If my arms stop, then I've done what I could. So it's that like that in every aspect of our life.
Okay, so all right, so people are watching this and they're like, okay, this Eric guy, he seems cool, but they're probably wondering why I brought you on. So can you talk about, it took you 67 years to realize that working out's important, right? Mm-hmm. So when you look back at it now, what do you think? Do you think that you wasted time? Do you think that you should have started earlier? What do you feel like when you look back at your life? Really, now that you've only been working out for only the last 3 years consistently.
It's really interesting that you asked that question, Aaron, because I was just asking myself the same question a couple of days ago. And I thought, when I was just practicing as a monk in the temple, that was not, working out was not what monks did, at least in my school of practice. And I realize now that my practice probably would have been stronger if I had worked out, for two reasons. One, because it was doing something that was outside of my thought process, and if there's anything that Zen is about, it's finding things outside, it's thinking outside the box. And the second is that the benefits of working out are significant. It gives you more confidence. It's like a confidence-building exercise. Yesterday I could only do 5 reps. Today I can do 6. Next week I may only do 4, but I'll work at it and I'll do more. So as in everyday life, we're going to have setbacks all the time and challenges and frustrations and everything. But the one thing that we have the most control of is our own body. So I realized that when I was feeling my own frustrations with my practice in Zen, if I had been going to the gym and doing exercises like that, it probably would have been a positive thing for my practice. I didn't understand it at the time, and I didn't waste my time because I was learning other things. But in terms of, if you think of your life as like a painting, where you've got different strokes, and it all comes together as a one piece of work of art, you could say. There are certain strokes you do at certain times, and that was just how my life worked out. And I realized, in retrospect, it would have been a good idea to paint some workout into it, but it's okay. What am I going to do? Say, oh, bad, 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 you didn't work out. It doesn't work either.
Yeah. Flame break. All right, so moving on from there, so we're going to get into your workouts in a second,
Okay.
but I just want to touch on more the mindset stuff. So what advice would you give someone, before that, how do you feel now that you've been working out for 3 years consistently? Like, how do you feel now physically compared to any other time in your life? Do you feel better now, or how do you feel?
Oh, I definitely feel better. I mean, it's like, when I go to the gym, it's like, I'll be doing some stuff, on my website or whatever it is, and at a certain time, I realize, it's time to go to the gym, and I'll just drop what I'm doing, whatever it was, and I go to the gym, and I do my workout, and it's a complete change of mindset. It's a complete change of environment and so on. And after I work out, I think about, wow, I just broke my record today. I only did 60 push-ups in 3 minutes last week. This week I did 63 push-ups. So it's good. And even if I have a little setback, sometimes something will happen and I don't meet my goal. It doesn't matter, because as long as I'm doing my best, then I can say to myself, Eric, you did your best. And so you feel good just doing that. That really helps. But I think aside from that, I do notice myself being more confident. And there are people who have actually remarked about this. I find that this is kind of funny. I find, especially with women, I find that I'm saying this for the benefit of the younger guys out there, maybe even the older guys who are getting kind of flabby and thinking, I've lost my edge. I find it's kind of interesting that I'm now going to these events and I'm meeting all these gorgeous younger women and and having a really great time with them. And
what do you mean a really great time?
I'm a naturally rather reserved and moral person, so I'm not the kind of person who just jumps into bed with somebody or tries to seduce people. It's not part of my nature. Maybe that'll change as I get stronger. I don't know. But I find that I have more confidence with women, and recently I'm going to these different events that are different kinds of events, especially relating to the internet area. And here in Chiang Mai, as you know, Aaron, it's a magnet for people from all over the world. So when I was in the monastery, in the temple, one of the skills we learned was baking bread, because bread is kind of the staff of life, I mean, what did Jesus say? Man does not live by bread alone, but bread's a major part. And in the monastery, we learned to bake bread. So I worked in a bakery for 3 years. And I realized, hey, I should teach people how to bake bread, because it's a thing that brings people together. So when I'm at some of these events, I say, oh, by the way, I bake bread. And this, beautiful woman from England says, oh, I'm really interested in baking bread. I say, cool, well, you can come over to my house. I'm going to have a baking class. And this coming Sunday, a guy who's in my building, and this very beautiful Thai woman, and another woman from the United States, and let's see, there's one other person, I forget the country she's from, they're gonna come over to my place, and I'm gonna teach them how to bake bread. And so we have fun together. I get to hang out with these really cool, beautiful women, and I'm building relationships, those kinds of relationships, which it's really a good thing to do.
Oh, that's awesome. So the working out.
Oh, in fact, this Chinese woman I met at the gym.
Yep.
We met 2 or 3 times, and the third time she's gone back to China, but she says she wants to live in Chiang Mai, and I told her I bake, and she says, "Oh, well, we're gonna start a video channel where we're gonna teach Chinese housewives how to bake bread and learn English at the same time."
That's pretty cool. I like that idea.
So talk about niche marketing. You know?
That's awesome.
So, and she's a really, really cool person, a really nice person. So
that's another plus side, right? Like through working out, you get to meet all these awesome people.
Right, exactly.
Plus, you get more confident.
Right.
And right now, you're feeling really strong, right? Like, have you ever felt this strong before?
Oh, I'm certainly the strongest that I've ever been.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No question. Well, I told you, years ago, I used to do push-ups. I would do like one set of push-ups every day. And I would do that intermittently. Like some years I would do it and then I would drop, and some years I'd do it. It was not until more recently that I took that on as a real regular thing. And so this 3-minute exercise of doing as many push-ups as I can in 3 minutes. I'm at my I just hit my record last week.
What was your record?
63.
So wait, 63 push-ups in 3 minutes.
Right.
Dude, that's awesome. That's more than most men can do. Like most men who are 25 can't even do that.
Right. In fact, I hang out with a lot of guys who are in the internet space here, and they're always, kind of joking with me, "Oh, you oldster," that kind of thing. I say, "Okay, how many push-ups can you do?" I say, "Well, actually,
Yeah. Actually, let's show you some push-ups. So let's do.
Okay, I can't guarantee the 63 though. So
just like do it right there.
Okay, I'll do as many
like
as
right
I
here.
can.
Right here.
I gotta take my stuff out.
All right, let's go for it.
Okay, should I'll move this chair out of the way? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so the first thing I do actually is I oxygenate myself.
Okay.
Okay, and it's also an exercise that's good for your spine and it's good for the rest of your body. So what I'm going to do is I start like this. I go. It's a yoga exercise, and you breathe out. You breathe in completely, and then you breathe out. And when you breathe out, you pull in your stomach. So you're also exercising your whole abdomen area and down, and you all of your muscles all the way down, and even into your genitals. So you're squeezing everything, and that builds up a lot of oxygenation and so on. So I'll do that for a little bit.
Damn.
Take a rest for about 25 seconds.
And then you go again. All right, cool. You don't have to do it now, but that's just an example.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. All right, let's get back into these interviews. So how do you feel now you've done that?
Energized.
You're energized?
Sure.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. That's absolutely amazing. I hope you guys got inspired by that. That was amazing.
Yeah, and I was good for another, that was 23,
Yep.
and I can do 63, so I was good for another 40, most likely, at least,
So
35.
some people are probably wondering now, doesn't that get bored? How many times a week do you do push-ups?
I would say probably 3 or 4 times a week.
So don't you get bored doing that?
No.
So how do you...
Actually, what I do is I alternate days. So I try to work out 5 days a week. Sometimes for last week, a bunch of meetings came up, and I was only able to do 3. Not so good, but I try to do 5 ideally, and so I alternate days. Push-ups, say on push-ups on Monday. Tuesday, my main exercise is pull-ups. So I do combination of chin-ups and pull-ups. So I'll do like 7 pull-ups like this, 7 pull-ups, chin-ups, you could say. And then I switch to the other side and I do it like this. So I go back, and so basically I do 7 and then 7 and then 6, 6. And I with the pull-ups, I get to the point where in the beginning I don't go to failure. But as I continue on in the sequence with a 1-minute break between sets, eventually I reach the point where I can't, where I go to failure. So a sequence might be something like 7, 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, like that. So and that would be Tuesday, and then Wednesday push-ups again. Thursday is pull-ups. Friday push-ups.
What about lower body? What about
lower body?
Are you skipping leg day? Are you skipping leg day, Eric?
No. No. With my leg exercises are with the leg machine. What is it called?
Leg press.
Leg press. So I do leg press. I'm up to about 60 or so with the 50 kilos. Yeah, there's like 2 25-kilo things, so it's probably 50, 60 kilos. And so I go, I do the leg press. I'm up to I do like 3 sets of 20 or something like that. Basically reach the point where it's burning.
Okay.
But I don't go to where I could, I don't want to go to, you don't go to failure with a machine like that, I also do just regular squats, regular sets of squats, maybe 3 sets of 35 squats, something like that. So I get to 100 or so. I also do another goblet squats.
Nice.
So I usually use a 30-pound dumbbell and do goblet squats. Usually like my latest is about 15 and 20 or something like that.
So you're in the gym 5 days a week?
I would say ideally 5 days a week, 4 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week, right?
And you've been doing that
consistently
every week since you so for 3 years you've been doing this?
That's right, yeah.
Wow. So how did you get this habit down? What was it that keeps you consistent?
Well, I guess it's just talking off the top of my head, 2 aspects. One is that the work that I'm doing now on the internet is extremely challenging for me. I'm not a naturally technically oriented person. I'm a philosopher. I'm not a mathematician, and so it doesn't come naturally to me. So I know that at a certain point in the day, I can just stop and go and use a completely different part of my brain and my body and get myself kind of back together that way. So that's I think that's a very healthy thing to do. And studies are saying that working out can actually increase your intelligence.
Yes.
And it's one aspect of increasing your intelligence.
Absolutely.
So there's that aspect of it, and the fact that I know that if I don't do that, especially at my age, my body will just deteriorate. And so there's a kind of a fear factor there, actually, that if I don't take care of myself, that I'm going to go downhill, faster. And I see people who are in, pretty bad shape.
Yeah. So that's actually a good point to touch upon is what is your advice to those people? Because most of the people watching this right now are aged between 20 to 40 years old. That's most of the people.
20 to 40?
Yeah, most of the people that are watching this video.
Okay.
But there's some people that are 60, 70 years old that are going to be watching this. But what is your advice to the millennials, as you would put it, I guess?
Right.
20 to 40 years old. They don't really place any importance on working out, much like yourself back in the day, right? Much like myself back in the day. So what advice would you give that person who doesn't really think that working out is important or taking care of their health is important because they're focused on their business or they're focused on their career?
Mm-hmm.
So what would you advise them to do?
Well, it gets back to what we were talking about earlier. Wait for the plane.
I guess you could just talk into this. This is my fake microphone.
You have to focus on integrating your life. And if you do one set of activities while neglecting other sets of activities, your life won't work. So that in terms of your relationships too, if you got a significant other and all you were doing is working out, and you're telling your significant other, oh, don't mess with me, I got other things to do, or you're working, or worse if you have a family and you're working yourself in a job and you're not taking care of yourself, or you're neglecting your family, your life is going to fall apart. So it's not a question of preference in this sense. It's a question of, what should we give? Let's give up food. Let's give up food, and we'll see how far that gets you. Well, it's not going to work. We have physical bodies. If we don't take care of our physical body, it will be the same as if we don't eat. If we don't breathe, within 5 minutes we'll die. So there are certain activities that we have to do. And nowadays, especially nowadays, there's so many factors. The quality of the food, people are constantly bombarded with eating more Frito-Lays or Diet Cokes and all that crap. If we listen to those messages and don't listen to the messages that you're presenting of good diet, good exercise, taking care of yourself on a physical level, which includes your interior life, it's not going to work. So, and what I see, it's a big problem nowadays. Obesity in the United States is a huge problem, and it's getting that way all over the world. I'd be willing to bet you that half of the people who are watching this video right now have a fair amount of flab around their middle. And you may think it doesn't matter now, but you're hurting yourself. Not you, but I'm speaking to your audience. They're hurting themselves because that is going to. It's like if you've got an automobile and you give it the wrong kind of fuel, you're going to burn out the engine. You're going to get diabetes. You're going to get heart disease. All those things that happen because it didn't just happen. And going to the doctor and getting medicine to fix something that was a cause of bad habits, bad fuel going into your body, not exercising your body enough. That's what people need to do, and they're not doing it. It's really a shame that there's so much that our whole culture should be doing to encourage people to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why some people don't work out currently is because maybe they don't see the negative effects of not working out.
Right.
But they do see it when it's too late, right?
That's
when
right.
they need surgery or when they have some sort of disease or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When it's too late and then they regret not having done it before.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so? Your motivation, where does it come from? Is it Is it because you don't want to get these diseases that you see lots of people similar to your age getting, or?
Well, I in terms of my personal history, both my parents died young. My father died at the age of 35. He had cancer. My mother died at the age of 49. She also had cancer. So there's this kind of shadow on my shoulder looking over me saying, are you going to die because of, are you going to have some terrible disease? And so even as a young man, although I wasn't emphasizing so much the physical exercise side, I did watch my diet, and I did try to. I was looking for ways to improve my life that way. It's just that when I was younger, I didn't think of these other things that I could or should be doing. Especially in terms of physical exercise and working.
Yeah,
I realized if I had started, there are two mistakes. I think I'm anticipating what you're going to talk about.
Yep.
When I was, I think I was like 10 or 12 years old or something, my mother encouraged me to go to judo lessons, and I went for about a month or two, and then I dropped out because my father wasn't around to say, Eric, go to the fucking judo class.
Right.
Just I know it's not so you're not having just go, just do it. And I realized that was I made a major mistake that way. And the second mistake was that being introduced to weightlifting when I was like 13 or 14 years old, and there was no one to tell me the benefits of it. I didn't realize the benefits. What I was told was, oh, that's what dumb jocks do. Not you're a thoughtful person, Eric. I'm being told you're a thoughtful person. You're an intelligent person. You don't do those things that those stupid muscle men do. I didn't understand when I was younger that actually, well, maybe the stupid muscle men should read more books, but I should be working out. Right.
So is that one of your regrets that you didn't work out when you were 13 years old?
I can't. It's too late for regret. You don't. It's just I realized. Oh, that was something that would have been a good thing to do, and I didn't do it. And so the problem with regret is that it's a great way to avoid doing something now. You can quote me on that, right? So, oh yeah, God, I should have worked out. Eric, do some more push-ups.
Yeah. Right.
Do your push-ups now. Don't regret that you didn't do them before. So that hopefully.
Damn, that's a good quote. Do your push-ups now. Don't regret that you didn't do them before. I like that. That's a nice quote.
So you're saying? Sure. So I mean, to all the I would say to the younger people, you haven't damaged yourself, and you haven't done too much damage to yourself with your not so great habits of smoking and drinking and overeating and eating the wrong foods and not exercising and watching too much television and so on and on and on and on. Cut all that shit out. Do the things that will enhance the quality of your life, and you'll be a much happier person. A couple of nights ago, I was hanging out at a bar with some of my internet friends. They're all in their 20s or 30s, mostly 20s actually. And they were telling me about some of the stuff that they're doing in drinking and other habits. And I was listening to this, and I just thought, that would those kinds of behaviors, it wouldn't even occur to me to do that. It's just so obviously harmful to myself. Why would I do that? Even like when I was in college, I got drunk twice. And the second time, I woke up with a hangover, and I just said to myself, "That's really stupid. Why do people do that to themselves? This is fun." with your head spinning and you throw up and everything. Why would anybody do that to themselves? And yet they do.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. Whereas what you could be doing is doing push-ups or pull-ups or something that gets your body, your blood flowing.
But do you know why people do it? It's twofold. Number one, it's easy, right? There's no friction there. It's just pick up the bottle, drink.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, it's a way of escaping one's reality.
Right.
So those are the two reasons.
Right.
It's like those two things outweigh the pain and lethargicness they feel the next day when they're hungover.
Right.
Like in the moment, this is the thing to be doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody told me a very interesting story the other day. They were talking about how Chinese children are raised, and they said that when the little child is with their parents, the parents will show them some piece of candy, and they'll say, "You can have this piece of candy now, but if you wait 5 minutes, you can get 2 pieces of candy." And so the children they're trained from an early age to defer their impulses for a better result later on.
Right.
And in our culture, there's too much instant gratification.
Yes.
Don't do stuff that's uncomfortable. Do the easy thing that actually, in the long run, will make you feel worse. And if you wonder, you hear about the opioid crisis in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. They're taking opioids instead of doing the things that will make them feel, that will make them stronger and feel and healthier and feel better inside. It's a shame. It's a pity.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hope that our conversation will get people who are maybe in that situation to think about it. One other thing is, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there have been studies that have shown that people who are addicted to heroin, or no, they tested rats. They got them addicted to heroin, and then they moved them from their environment to a new environment with better rat toys to play with. And they gave up their addiction because they realized they had better things to do with their life than to get zoned out with this drug. So as humans, we're free enough that we can make those, if we have the willpower, we can make those choices.
Play break. Yeah, absolutely. So I totally agree with that, because everything in life is a choice, right? People choose to pick up the alcohol. People choose not to drink alcohol. And it's funny because when you don't drink alcohol and you're around, this is the power of your social circle, right? So if you're around 5 of your closest friends and they all drink alcohol, and then you've all of a sudden had this aha moment where you realize that drinking alcohol is a waste of time and money, and you stop drinking, they're going to project their fears onto you in the way of judgment, right? So they're going to judge you for not drinking alcohol, when really they're not judging you, they're just projecting their fear of giving up alcohol onto you by laughing at you, because it makes them feel better about their situation, right? So that's the power of a social circle, because if you want to stop drinking alcohol, you need to get around people who also don't drink alcohol, because that will easily help you make it a habit, right? It's like, for example, in Bali, where I live now, I go to the dinner with these gym buddies and no one's drinking alcohol. It's not even a thought. We just order kombucha and coconuts and water.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah? So it's really refreshing not to have the peer pressure of, oh, are you not drinking alcohol?
Right.
Why are you not drinking? Is there something wrong with you?
Right.
You know?
Right. Right. I once had a conversation with this guy who spent a fair amount of time in I'll just say an Eastern European country, and they drink there. And he said, yeah, when I was living in such and such a place, I would drink alcohol, and they would they wouldn't trust you if you didn't drink alcohol. And I said, okay, that's fine. I don't care if they don't trust me. If they drink alcohol, I don't particularly trust them, so I wouldn't want to hang out with them. You can judge me all you want. I'm me. You know, you do with your life what you want to do.
Yes.
So there it is.
So that's another point, actually. I just thought of this now. When you're in the gym, there's a lot of people who are maybe overweight, and you know, they need to go to the gym, but they end up telling me, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm self-conscious about how I look. When I go into the gym, all these guys are in shape, all these women got flat stomachs, but me, I'm just, you know, flabby, I'm not really sure what I'm doing." And that belief is going to prevent them from getting the body that they want, from having the life that they want, right? So, I mean, how do you approach that? How do you deal with that? Because obviously people are always looking at you, so how do you deal with that? Or you don't care about it? I'm just curious.
You actually challenged me on that in one of our early conversations, and because I wasn't very strong, and you made some kind of remark it wasn't insulting, but it was kind of something like that. And I said, Aaron, everybody started off being weak. Do you remember that conversation? It was like, I said, you know, every 3-year-old was weak. You start where you are and you do what you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And you don't worry about what other people think. I think, you know, there's two aspects of it. On the one hand, yes, we should consider what other people think. We should consider it, but we shouldn't automatically succumb to peer pressure. It's useful information, and the information that is useful, we follow. But if the information upon consideration is not useful, we don't follow it. So, you know, when I met you, I realized, here's a guy who's got useful information. I will follow you.
Right.
You know, and people like that other guy who said, "Oh, you're so stupid and full of shit." You know, that's information. Okay, thank you very much, but I won't follow you. So and this gets down to the issue of wisdom. It's being able to tell the difference between what is true and what is not, what is useful and what is not. It takes some development, some skill. We get fooled. You know, we get fooled by things. We get conned all the time. People are trying to con us. So we have to decide for ourselves what really works.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And also, final closing comments. What advice would you give to someone who's your age right now?
Don't give up. Your life is what it is. If you feel that you're stuck or in a rut or things are not going well for yourself, think of something that you might be interested in. It could be anything, and just do it. It could be anything. It could be, you know, take a cooking class, you know, to learn how to make healthy food, or go to the gym, or find some, even on Facebook you can find groups, all kinds of groups. People need to kind of like brainstorm and think, you know, if things are not satisfactory now, what can I possibly do to improve it? So I would say that, you know, always, it's like that water in the gorge, always looking for a way through.
And the last question I have for you is, what is the advice you would give, life advice at this point? Life advice to anyone who's 18 and up. Any life advice? Based on your experiences in life, like free things, the free top tips. If you had your grandkid, 18 years old, what would you tell him to succeed in life, or her to succeed in life?
Okay. Choose your friends carefully. Find good friends who have good habits and a good mindset. Choose a livelihood that you feel good about. Don't just do something for the money. Find something that you can feel good about. Don't go into the military. No matter what, do not go into the military. Because if you go into the military, you sign your life away and you will probably do things you'll regret. And the third thing is choose your romantic relationships very carefully also. Don't be impulsive. Half the marriages in the U.S. end in divorce. And I know some people who've had wonderful marriages and some people who've had terrible marriages. So before you get married, choose wisely.
Awesome. So find good friends. What was the second one?
Right livelihood.
Oh yeah, choose your passions, right?
Right.
And choose the right love partner.
Right. I would say choose your passion that will have a positive result. Don't just choose something because it pays. Let's say because it pays well. Choose something that it might not be something that you're that crazy about doing. Just don't do something that's harmful. Choose a livelihood that will help other people, not harm other people. That's the most important thing. Even if it's not your passion. If it's your passion and it helps other people, that's the best, of course. But don't do something that can harm other people. Choose something that can help other people. And then, of course, as I say, choose your spouse or choose your love relationships carefully.
Awesome. And the last bit of advice for workouts, as it relates to the mindset around being a healthier human being, what would you say? Just in closing.
Do your best. Don't shortchange yourself. Don't criticize yourself for not meeting whatever expectation you set. You set an expectation. You try to meet it. If you don't, next time you always just do your best.
And that's also life advice too, right? Always do your best.
Right.
And your website is 4knees.com. We'll link it up in the description.
Right. Yeah, FOR-KNEES.
Awesome. Eric, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Same to you. Same with you. Yeah.
Eric is amazing, isn't he, guys? Comment below what you think of Eric, and we'll see you next time.
Okay.
All right, take it easy, Eric.
Thanks.
If you like this video, guys, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll be bringing you more of these kind of videos in the near future. My name is Darko with Eric. We'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.